Hi, my name is Tom Kim. I'm a recent graduate from UCLA, and I help college students build a time management system, like studying system to get 3.5 plus GPA while studying less. This way, you have free time for your career and your life, like internships, volunteers, or whatever extracurricular stuff you got going on. Not just that, right? Even time for working out, just having some fun, hanging out with your friends and family, even sleeping enough, right? So we're talking about this well-rounded balance, not just having a good grades, but having well-rounded balance, right? But today, I'd like to really provide you with a bunch of value here, um, and we're going to talk about how to get a 2.0 GPA. Okay. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is basically some traits and characteristics or daily actions and daily habits that typical 2.0 GPA student has, basically. Okay. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Number one is procrastinating. I mean, this comes pretty obvious, right? I was stuck at procrastinating for a long time. I know a lot of you guys are as well, right? I know you procrastinate all the time. It's really easy to say, yeah, let me do it tomorrow. Let me do it, next week. Let me do it next month, next year. And without even you knowing, right? It's already 2025 September, right? And again, after a few months of you saying, I can do it later, I can do it tomorrow, it's going to be 2026, 2027, time just keeps on going and it goes faster every single year, right? So, procrastinating. This is like one habit that you must fix and get rid of if you really want to get better grades, first of all, right? Because again, if you keep on procrastinating on your homework, studying for exams, studying consistently, if you procrastinate, I mean, for example, here, I've literally seen a few students, or actually quite a bit of students, right? They were procrastinating on their internships. They're like, yeah, I can just do it next year summer. I can just do it my junior year summer, maybe senior year, right? And they missed deadlines for internships. And now, I mean, you can imagine that, right? So, I mean, how dumb is that, right? You're just procrastinating. You're just being lazy. And now think about it. If you procrastinate, you're delaying that decision making process. And what does that really give you? Nothing. It gives you even more stress. You know you have to make a decision, right? But at that moment, you're not really sure. You're not really ready. But if you're not ready and if you're procrastinating right now, if you're not making a decision right now, what makes you think that a month later or even a year later, you're going to be in a better position, right? If you can't even do it right now, what makes you think that you can do it later, right? That perfect moment is not coming. You're never going to feel like doing something. You're never going to feel like studying. You're never going to feel like doing that homework, anyways. So, might as well just get it done right now, get it over with, and then just move on. If you keep on procrastinating, it makes you even more stressed out, right? So whatever that you have been procrastinating on since past months or since past year for the couple of years or whatever, right? You need to start taking action and make a decision that okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't delay this anymore, right? I need to do something about it. I need to take the action right now. Okay? So you need to stop procrastinating as soon as possible, right? Now, the next one, I like talk about blaming professors, right? This thing, I used to do this. A lot of people still do this. Probably you do this all the time, right? Now, what I mean by that is, let's say you took an exam or you had whatever assignments or whatever assessments in class, right? And you didn't really get a good grade, right? And it's really easy to say, right? Yeah, the professor he doesn't even teach, right? He's really bad at teaching. He just gives out and just read PDFs or whatever, right? It's really easy to say that. But remember, right, there's this always, right, all in every class, right, there's at least this one student who gets an A or A plus even, right? So what is their excuses then, right? They still studied, right? They still got things done and they managed to get good grades, whether that be 4.0 GPA or whatever A's or B's or whatever, right? Even though they had the same professor as you, right? So you got no excuse, right? So instead of what I mean is you need to kind of shift your mindset and take the full responsibility on you. Yes, I understand sometimes you get bad professors. Sometimes you get stuck with professors that don't even really even care about you, right? Yes, I get that. At some point, you will have one of those like bad and terrible professors out there, all right? And I understand that. But what you need to do is you need to do what you can control, right? Just because you have bad professors, right? If you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna care either, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna let it go. I mean, it's all their fault. It's not on me. If you say that, right, the grade's yours. The results are yours, right? It's not professors, right? So at the end of the day, you have to take care of it. You have to care. Okay. So focus on what you can do, whether that be attending office hours. And at some point, I had to study just by myself. I have to, go on YouTube or whatever, find some resources or whatever, right? I had to do that, right? It's inevitable for some classes with some professors, right? So focus on what you can do and take the full accountability and full responsibility on you instead of just blaming professors, because blaming professors is not going to give you solutions anyways, right? And also on top of this, right, I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, I had this personal stuff going on, I was in trouble with my family or my friends or whatever. Yes, those personal stuff and emergencies could happen, right? But as you go with your life, right, not just in classes or school, right, as you're going to your career, working space in real life, right? It's not like every single time you have those things come up, you're like, I'm just going to stop everything and then I'm going to focus on that matter. No, you can't do that. You have to stay disciplined and you have to be able to balance everything out, right? So it's like a practice basically, right? So stop saying like, yeah, because of again, I understand, right? Those are obviously, emergencies and everything, right? But again, every single time you have those emergencies, right? Every time you have a trouble with your roommate or whatever, right? It's not like you can just give up on your classes or like, yeah, this semester is already messed up and I'm just going to do better next time. What makes you think that next semester, those kind of similar stuff is not going to come up? Chances are it's going to come up. Okay, so stop blaming your professors. Take full responsibility on yourself. Okay, now number three is inconsistent sleep routine. Right now, back at UCLA, I was waking up at 5 a.m., sometimes 4:30, depending on my day, depending on the season, or depending on the quarter or semester. Right, but it doesn't. It's not like you have to wake up early, like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning. No, what really matters is consistency, right? Consistency matters. It doesn't matter if you wake up at 5 in the morning or even 9 or 10 or 11 in the morning, if it really makes sense with your class schedule and everything, right? But if you're being inconsistent, like sometimes you're waking up early, sometimes you're waking up late, sometimes you're going to bed super early, sometimes you're taking nap, sometimes you're going to bed like 3 in the morning, sometimes you're pulling all nighter, sometimes you're like, if you're just all over the place throughout the semester and with your classes, right? Chances are, I mean, yes, you may get good grades, but balancing everything out. Because again, we're not just talking about getting good grades, right? I mean, if you want to get good grades, you just can study like all day long, like 24/7, like always grind out. You can do that, but realistically, it's not possible. You need to sleep, you need to work out, you need to eat, you need to hang out with your friends, you need to do your internships, club meetings, and everything on top of classes and studying, right? So if you want to get both grades and life or that balance, right? You need to have that consistency in terms of your sleep routine. Again, you don't have to wake up early or whatever. It just has to make sense and it's got to be reasonable whether you wake up at 7 or 8 in the morning, right? And same thing with the bed time, right? You want to go to the bed same time consistently, whether that be 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Like, don't be all over the place because sleep routine not only affects your grades, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, sleep schedule it affects your grades, but in the process of doing that, right, it's affecting your mindset, your health, your productivity. Hence, it's affecting your grades, right? And it's got long-term results. If you're not being consistent with your sleep routine, right? Again, your health gets messed up, right? You're always tired, you're always burnt out, and with that, obviously, you're not going to have energy even for working a job or internships or whatever. Like everything kind of gets messed up. Okay, so you want to get your sleep routine on track as soon as possible. Okay, now similar stuff, pulling all-nighters. I'm really against it because at some point of your day, say like 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., right? And let's say you've been awake for like 10, 12 hours at that point, you're not going to be as productive. You're not going to have that energy as much as you had, back in the morning, right? So pulling all nighters, yes, like once in a while, like if you have like back to back to back to back exams the next day, yes, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, yes, right? But if you're doing that like every single time, and if you're pulling all nighters or staying up late because you have been procrastinating all day long, that's not a valid reason. Okay, so at all costs, I'll try my best to, yeah, avoid pulling all nighters for sure. Okay, now next up is having no daily plan. Okay, this was basically an example of how my day looked like just a little bit preview here, right? My classes are here, deep work. I'm waking up at 4:30, working out, so on and so forth, right? This was basically how my like typical day looked like back in UCLA. Okay. But if you don't have this, if you're just getting by or just going with the flow, like, right, because I got class, yeah, I'm going to go to that. Yeah, it's lunchtime now. I'm going to get lunch. Yeah, I mean, I remember I have some homeworks going on, so maybe let me try to work on it today. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Let me take a nap. Like if you're just kind of just going with the flow, getting controlled, right? Chances are you're not going to get good grades, or you're not going to, at least you're not going to stay productive with your day or efficient with your day, right? So make sure you start with daily planning. Okay, you need to know what's exactly going on that day to make every second and every minute productive, right, and worthwhile. Now the next step is thinking that you have too much time. Okay, this is actually one of the things that held me back like the most, right? I thought back in my high school year, like I was like, yeah, I'm young now, I still have a lot of time. I still have 4 years of college ahead of me, so on and so forth, right? And now it's already been 2 years since I graduated from UCLA, and I still remember like yesterday. I still remember my high school graduation, which has been what, like 5, 6 years at this point. Yeah, 5 years, something like that, right? So thinking that you have too much time, that's exactly what makes you procrastinate. Where is it? Procrastinate, right? And that's exactly what makes you also delay making decisions, right? And again, if you delay making decisions, whatever they might be, and if you delay taking action, what's that going to get you? Nothing, right? You're just delaying getting results at the end of the day, right? And yes, you may have, if you're like freshman or in high school, I mean, yes, you do have enough time, right? But again, time goes faster. It's ticking faster and faster every single time and every single year. Okay, so realistically, you do have much time, but not really. Okay, now cramming the night before. Yes, emergencies come up. Sometimes things come up. Life stuff happens and everything. Yes, I get that, right? But if you're cramming the night before, because again, if you had those emergencies today and you're cramming the night before, yes, that's valid excuse, right? But if you're cramming the night before, like a lot of times, because you have been procrastinating and you have been lazy, you have been just hanging out with your friends, not getting things done, that's not a valid excuse. Okay. And again, it kind of goes back to where I said pulling all nighters, right? At some point of your day, like in the evening, like 8 p.m., 10 p.m., you're not going to have that much of an energy. You're not going to be as productive. And what happens to you? You just say, all right, I can do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm just going to go on my phone. I'm just going to take some rest. Today was really difficult for me. I mean, today was really hard for me. I had, a lot of classes and lectures and everything. I'm really tired. For now, I mean, the deadline is not even coming up anyways, right? I still have time. And maybe later on, tomorrow I can do it. Tomorrow morning I can do it. Tomorrow evening I can do it, right? And, the next thing you know is it's done Sunday, 11 p.m. And now you only have like less than 1 hour to submit the assignment, right? I know how it goes because I used to be one of them, right? The deadline is like 11:59 p.m. every Sunday or Friday, something like that. And now you're finishing this assignment. You're just getting by and you're just half-assing it like for just 30 minutes, 50 minutes. And you're like, just like, you're in a hurry to like submit the assignment and everything, right? And again, that's not good. Okay. Now, next up is only studying when you have exams. So here's what I mean by that. Okay. So if you're studying only when you have exams, you're basically cramming, right? But if you are studying consistently, so what I mean by that is that every lecture, you kind of go back to your notes and textbooks, you kind of, recap what happened, you try to learn yourself, like so on and so forth, right? Like if you're just studying when you have exams, you're always cramming, right? So make sure you're studying, consistently, even if you don't, when you don't have exams going on, right? Because that's exactly when the studying is happening, right? If you're studying just a few days before the exams, you're studying just because the exam's coming up. When you have homeworks and you're doing your homework because you're assigned. You got deadlines coming up, right? But if you're studying, going over your lecture notes, redoing your homework problems one more time, right? Even when exams or homeworks are not coming up, that's exactly when your own studying is happening. You need to do that consistently. This way, now, when exams are coming up now, you don't have to do too much because you already have been studying, right? So you need to study consistently. Now, next up, giving up on your goals after 3 days. Yeah, you probably get this. A lot of times you do this, right? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna start eating healthy. I'm gonna go on a diet. I'm gonna start working out. I'm really gonna lock in this semester. And after a few days, you're like, just back to old habits. You're waking up late. You're not working out. You were really motivated, but that motivation just went away, right? So here, I just want to talk about motivation a little bit, right? Because motivation is a temporary feeling. It comes and goes, right? When's the last time that you were like super motivated to study? Never. Like 90% of the time, like 95% of the time, you don't feel motivated to do something. You just do it because you have to, pretty much, right? And that's okay. And that's where you learn discipline, because motivation, it's not important, right? I mean, there are a lot of things that you have to get done. And because of you not feeling motivated, it's not like you're not going to do it. You have to do it. Not just in school, I'm talking about, right? I'm not just talking about school here. I'm talking about like everything in general, like your life, right? Life doesn't work this way, right? You feel like doing it, you feel motivated. Yeah, I'm going to do it today. And you don't feel like doing it, you just don't do it. Life doesn't work that way, right? So if you're giving up on your goals or whatever your goals are, right, after a few days, you need to fix that. You need to stop relying on motivation, right? You need to start building discipline, right? Discipline is basically you doing things, you just still taking action even if you don't feel like it, right? That's where discipline is. And that's very important trait you need to learn in life, of course in school as well. Now, with that being said, number 10 is, we've been kind of talking about this, in terms of procrastinating and everything, right? But stop waiting for a perfect time to execute on, whatever your goals, even studying small little things or big things or whatever, right? There is no perfect time coming, right? For me, I literally wasted a couple years waiting for a perfect time. I was like, yeah, this time I really want to lock in, working out, going on a diet or whatever. I really want to start this hobby or whatever, right? And I was like, yeah, this semester, really busy. This quarter is really busy for me. I got this thing and that thing. Oh, that thing came up. I need to, do this for my church or whatever, right? I always had those valid, right, excuses, right? And later I realized that the perfect time wasn't then, wasn't now, wasn't going to be in the future. So when's the perfect time? There is no perfect time. You just take action and make it a perfect time, basically, right? So stop waiting for a perfect time, because there's none. There's no perfect time that's coming to you, right? So yeah, just stop waiting, stop procrastinating, stop delaying, just get to work, and you just need to do it. Okay. So if you have, out of these 10 habits or 10 actions, right? If you have at least three of them, you need to fix them. Yeah, because chances are you're stuck at 2.0 GPA, you're stuck at low grades, right? You, even some of you probably have lost some opportunities because of low grades, or because you just got lazy, you were just wasting time, right? Again, you're in college, especially if you're already in college, right? You're in college to be successful at the end. You're not just there just to have fun, just to waste time and money, right? You're there to make something happen, to make your life and yourself even more successful, right? So, yeah, stop doing this. And yeah, you need to start taking massive action.